Gentleman yields. The gentleman from California, Mr. Liccardo, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Begg, thank you for coming to testify today. The purpose, the function of your office, Office of Inspector General, is fair to say primarily to help identify waste, fraud, and abuse so they can be rectified and to ensure the department follows the law in executing its mission. Is that fair?
That's correct. I'd add to that we also have a big emphasis on making recommendations to make programs more efficient and effective.
As part of those recommendations, you present semi-annual reports to Congress, and I think based on your written testimony, quite a lot of work had been done over the last year in fiscal year 24. For example, your work resulted, I say your work, the work of your office, resulted in almost $87 million in collections, identifying nearly $1 billion in funds that could be put to better use. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Your investigations resulted in more than $63 million in restitution, more than $14 million in total recoveries, and in 125 administrative sanctions to remove or limit bad actors from participation in HUD programs.
That's correct.
And you had identified 278 HUD actions that produce systemic benefits for the programs and participants and beneficiaries. Is that fair?
Yes.
Well, thank you for all that great work. And that work was done certainly not just by you, but by others in the office, and of course by your predecessor. I know you're acting, but the predecessor Inspector General was Ray Davis. Is that right?
That's correct. Our team at HUD does the work, not me.
And when the executive branch, in this case HUD, does not follow the law, what typically should happen? What are the remedies the Inspector General is involved in?
Well, it depends on the context. In a scenario where someone's not following the law and violating criminal provisions, we would work with the Department of Justice to prosecute bad actors. In an instance where the department might not be following the law, the Payment Information Integrity Act, that noncompliance results in reporting requirements to Congress. We publicly report their noncompliance. They're required to work with OMB on corrective action, so it really depends on the context.
But there is a sanction, there's a consequence.
Yes.
Now, you became acting Inspector General on January 24th, is that right?
Correct.
President Trump became president on January 20th. Is that fair?
Yes.
So you took this role 4 days after President Trump took office because Ray Davis was fired by President Trump.
That's right.
Now, federal law requires the president to follow a process when terminating Inspector General. Senator Grassley, as I understand, a Republican senator, authored an amendment that was approved by Congress to mandate that the president provide Congress 30 days advance notice before terminating Inspector General. Is that right?
That's correct.
And that notice would include written and detailed communication about the rationale for the termination.
That's right.
Why would there need to be protections in place from the politicization of the termination of an Inspector General?
I believe the genesis of those protections was designed to protect the independence of offices of Inspector General.
And that independence is incredibly important for you to do your job and detect waste, fraud, and abuse, identify conflicts of interest and the like?
Absolutely. It's the backbone of what we do.
Did the president follow the law in this case?
The notices were not provided consistent with the law, it's my understanding.
You know, I know Chairman Hill raised a lot of important issues with regard to poor maintenance at public housing. I think that's been well detailed in the media, and I think in every community there's been a lot of discussion of that. That maintenance is paid for by a capital fund. Is that right?
Yes.
And that is allocated by Congress, that funding. Is that fair?
Yes.
And I believe that 10 months ago, the National Association of Housing Redevelopment Officials increased its estimate of the backlog of repairs needed for existing public housing stock from $70 billion to $90 billion. And its words, all due to Congress chronically underfunding the Public Housing Capital Fund. Are you aware of that?
I am aware of the report and the figures.
And In your view, is the disrepair and poor maintenance, while undoubtedly there's plenty of waste, fraud, and abuse in this agency and any other, is it primarily the result of waste or underfunding?
The need for funding is certainly an important contributing factor in this scenario. The funding has not kept pace with the needs, and so the critical problems that generate long-term physical condition issues at properties has not been addressed. So you can paint the mold on the wall, but if you don't fix
Gentleman's
the
time has expired.
Thank you. I yield.